Welcome to the Just Got podcast. This is episode 14, Peer Pressure. And this is our special guest, Zach, and we'll be reading the verse of the week.
So, Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect.
That's a really good verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people struggle with peer pressure.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever, been peer pressured with
I
something?
mean, nothing's like something horrible. I've never done something that's like, I've never been peer pressured to do something horrible. But like, sometimes just, I don't know. Like, I know when you hang out with like certain friend groups, they can like easily influence you.
Yeah.
Maybe just because you want to like fit in or just because you don't want to like reject them. So,
Yeah.
you're more willing to do it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Hard part is, like for me, was people around me like vaping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I had to switch kind of friend groups because it was just always around me, and I know that was it had a lot. It required a lot of faith to kind of get away from that because I mean those are the people I was around all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Me personally, I've never struggled with peer pressure, but I know like a lot of people, I guess it's just like your environment that you're around most of the time too, can like, I guess, influence you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is peer pressure?
You want to ask Google? That's good. I think peer pressure isn't just like being easily influenced by your friends. It could be someone like a family member or somebody that you love or something. And I think peer pressure is something that I guess when you can easily get influenced, And I mean, it doesn't always have to be bad, I guess, in a way. Like he peer pressured me to like, I don't know, give to charity or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I peer pressured you guys to start a podcast.
Yeah.
There's some good in it, but I feel like it depends on what you decide,
Yeah.
Because of course you're being pressured, but you don't have to give into that pressure,
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between peer pressure and just straight up just being forced to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So what do you think's the difference between being forced and peer pressure?
I think peer pressure is more of like encouraged to do something
Yeah.
rather than like forced as being like you're gonna do this or
Yeah. Peer pressure, you got like a choice.
Yeah.
Like either to do it or not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Force, you got no choice.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's so hard to say no to peer pressure and not to fall in it?
just kind of like the natural desire to fit in
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, if everybody else is doing it around you, I mean, you're obviously gonna want to do it to fit in because
Yeah.
if you don't, then you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how Jesus kind of was. I think he kind of stuck out from everybody because he didn't fall into the desires and the flesh everybody else had, and he didn't fall into that peer pressure.
Yeah. Like he was around it, but he didn't. Like I heard something. It was like Jesus sat with sinners, but he wasn't. He didn't sin with them, or something like that.
Yeah.
But like that's how we need to be. We need to. I mean, of course, you have to be strong in your faith when you are around those people, because I mean, it's so easy to fall into it too. But I feel like you have to just be like really strong in your faith if you're going to be around that type of stuff. I mean, Jesus was perfect, so
Yeah.
he didn't have to worry about falling into that stuff.
Yeah. Other than Jesus, what do you guys think like characters in the Bible that have been, I guess, peer pressured? I think one.
Oh,
I think one is Job.
dang it, bro! I was gonna say that one.
I knew it. I knew it. But like it says in the Bible, like his wife told him literally to turn away
Yeah.
from God because of all the bad things that was happening around him. And like I said, peer pressure doesn't have to be from friends. I mean, I know peer means friend, but it got to be someone you really care about, and like just straight up like not listening to your wife,
Mhm.
and then just like you care more about God, than you do your wife. But he told her, no, I'm gonna keep worshiping God, because then he like shaved his head and then like want to worship or something.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Connor saying that.
Yeah.
Um,
But,
I'll tell you somebody else who I think got peer pressured, and that was Noah. think Noah got peer
Oh,
pressure.
yeah.
Because man was building an ark that took him forever to build,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody around him's like, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You're wasting your life." And he still stuck through it. So, I think the key to avoiding peer pressure is staying close to God,
Mm-hmm.
and He's the solution for it.
Yeah. I guess like another example too would be like Peter when he when the like the little Roman guard or whatever, the girl, like questioned him if she knew. Like, I mean, I guess that's peer pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, he of course said that he didn't know Jesus, but
3
he
times.
did.
Yeah.
But that's like another. I guess it could be like good and bad peer
Yeah.
pressure.
All right. So, how should we react when we fail in peer pressure? Like, what's next? What's the next step after that?
I'd say bring it to God. Like,
Yeah.
talk to God about it and like ask Him to forgive you.
Yeah, and there's no need in beating yourself up over falling into peer pressure because I mean, it's eventually going to happen to all of us eventually,
Yeah.
because we have flesh and we're going to slip, and beating yourself up is not going to help the situation at all.
Yeah.
So you got to pick yourself up because the world's not going to pick you up. I mean, you just have to rely on God and trust Him, and you have to forgive yourself too.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like too when people do fall in those peer pressures, they rely on those more than they do God.
Yeah.
Too, because that was like, I mean, if you fall into it, you're probably gonna do it again and again and again, and it kind of helps gives you like a good feeling.
Yeah.
But that feeling doesn't like fulfill the true feeling which is God.
Yeah.
I know as humans, I mean, human nature is to rely on sin
Mhm.
over
Yeah.
what is good, and I know the hard part is actually choosing, Jesus Christ over whatever's going on around you.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, but one thing that I think our generation deals with a lot is like steroid use, and seeing those guys like those influencers use that stuff, and how like I feel like the influencers and everybody around basically says like if you don't use this stuff, then you know you're never gonna get big and you're never gonna get muscles or just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think drugs is heavily pushed, whether it not be like weed or cocaine or stuff, but steroids I think would be something that's really pushed in our generation now.
Yeah, I think too, like another peer pressure would be like seeing like the street preachers like get persecuted and stuff, and that could be like a peer pressure to like not go out and do it. Yeah, and seeing like all the hate and like criticism and stuff that like happens to those street preachers too would be like gets a peer pressure to not go out there and like experience that.
Yeah. You think Jesus ever felt peer pressured to do anything?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think he for sure did. Whether, I mean, it might say it in the Bible, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of things that I think Jesus dealt with that it's not in the Bible. But anyways, I think Jesus for sure dealt with peer pressure and
I mean, Satan tried to tempt him too.
exactly
40
Yeah.
days.
That's a,
So
yeah, that's a
I
perfect
think like
example.
another
like in the garden when he was, or I don't think it was in the garden.
yeah,
when he was
Isn't it a
fasting.
mountain?
Garden of
wait.
Gethsemane.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyways,
Was that right? I don't
when
know.
he
think
was
so.
he was fasting and the devil came to him and tried to get him off his fast. That was the devil peer pressuring him. And anyways, what Jesus did, he like brought up
Bible
God
verses.
to him and Bible verses.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's why it's so important to like be studied up and stuff in the Bible, because you can be like, this is what God says about this thing,
Yeah,
And
and that's
exactly.
why I shouldn't do it or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think another time Jesus was also peer pressured was like when he was on the cross with the thief,
yeah.
and the thief was like, "Why don't you like save us and save yourself from like all this pain and stuff?" But Jesus knew the job he was here to do, and he knew that it was God's plan, not to get off that cross and like, I guess just stay committed to God's plan.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
All right. So What would Jesus do if his friends try to make him do something wrong?
Probably turn to scripture majority of the time.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like.
that's what I was about to say. Yeah.
Could you imagine if like his disciples try to make him do something wrong? Like, basically, it's like his followers, like his guys.
I mean, I guess maybe his followers always wanted to like maybe revolt. I guess
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
just because they're like, you want to talk about peace. A lot of people are
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
we thought you were gonna kill the Roman soldiers and stuff.
Mhm.
So it could have been something like that where they were like, why don't you just like get rid of our problems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just kill all the Roman soldiers? Why do you not just make all of our problems just go away?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he didn't, because he told them that's not how it's supposed to go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not here to save, like, what was it? I forgot. It's like, I'm not here to save people's lives. Like, the poor will be poor or whatever.
Mhm.
But like, I'm thinking he said like he was on earth to save people's hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save them spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not physically,
Mhm.
because you're still gonna hurt. You're still gonna
Mhm.
feel pain and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think the thing that he taught was just like not worrying about this life as much as the next one.
Mhm.
Kind of like where you'll be after death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think our generation deals with peer pressure the most
Yeah.
compared to like other generations?
It's so accessible now.
Yeah.
with
I would say
everything.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. There's a
Social
lot
media.
More stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like back then, it's probably just word of mouth. Now it's like
Yeah.
on social
You can like
media.
one click of the button, you can just go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
Is it easier to do the right thing when you're alone or with friends? I
It
think
depends.
with friends, to be honest.
depends on what your
Yeah.
friends are, I guess.
Yeah.
Like who's
Yeah.
your friend?
Because I mean, like sometimes I'll talk about some situation I'm
Yeah.
going through with my
Mhm.
friends, but sometimes I just feel like I just need to keep it like just me and God.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think it just depends on what you're going through,
Yeah.
and if you need to feel to share that.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, because those friends, they could be like the ones peer pressuring you, and like they're like, yeah, you did
And they
it,
could
do
just
it.
even give you the wrong advice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could also have those friends that give you the good advice and tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on what the battle is, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, it's when it's like personal struggles. When I'm alone, it's a little bit easier to deal with them.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
whenever it comes to just like stuff on the fly,
Yeah.
it's really hard to say no whenever you're with
Yeah.
your friends.
Mhm.
Because I mean, everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when it puts you in like in a bad mood.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, your friends are gonna notice that, so you might as well just like. Sometimes you just need to get stuff out of your chest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I think we kind of already went over this. Have you ever done something to fit in?
Probably yeah, but not like I wouldn't say like bad. But
Get a
like,
perm.
I've like, I guess I've like, probably made like some jokes or laughed at
Yeah.
some stuff.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
have, because just wanted to like fit in and kind of just blend in with everybody.
Yeah, not
else,
seem like
you
a
know?
party poop or whatever. Just not seem
Yeah.
like
yeah,
you're
Yeah.
not the fun guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like when you, like I said, when you do kind of don't mind the voice crack. But anyways, when you do you know, decide to, hey, I'm not gonna do that, and like stand against whatever's peer pressure you
Yeah.
in, you're obviously gonna stick out,
Mhm.
and that's the cost of
Yeah, like Brock said, just bring your problems to God. Really,
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to pray on it. Like,
Yeah.
God, is this the right thing I should be doing?
Mhm.
And honestly,
Or-
you can pray in your head when you're getting peer pressured, and just
Yeah.
ask the Lord, hey, drag me out of this or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you tell if someone is right or wrong?
Like, what do you mean? If they're right or wrong?
It depends. I think it depends on like what you're doing. Like
Like, if what they're telling you to do is
Yeah.
right or wrong.
you kind of just
Yeah.
like I just go with like what you think. Go with
Yeah.
Ask
Yeah.
God about it.
I mean, there's always the question like, would Jesus do this?
Yeah.
So that
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
pretty
what would
good
Jesus do?
indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would Jesus do?
Yeah, I've used that a lot. Like, if I'm doing something that I'm like controversial about, like I'm not sure if I should do it or not. I like picture in my head, like, would I see Jesus doing that?
Yeah.
And if not, I don't do it.
Just like last podcast, like controlling your anger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like sometimes the best feeling would just be like to maybe get back to that person.
Yeah.
You know, revenge or whatever. But
Mhm.
then you just gotta ask yourself with Jesus, like,
Yeah.
would Jesus respond with hate? You
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think that's just, you know, what would Jesus do? That's so strong, you know.
Yeah.
It's like-
it's like a big statement.
4 words.
Yeah.
But it can just change your like decisions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
WWJD.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't know what it meant. I was like, "What the heck?"
What
But
did you?
then- yeah.
There's another one that people use. It's kind of like, what would Jesus do? I can't think of it.
They do it with like everybody.
Yeah.
Like, what would
Yeah.
Steph Curry do? What LeBron James do? But yeah.
Yeah. But what I usually do, and I like to do, is if I'm ever, I always like to pick out a verse that I like to like keep with me. If I'm going through something or I'm getting peer pressured, I always like to pull that verse out, and it keeps me on track and keeps me focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage every one of y'all to do that too, is to pick out a verse that you can just use every day to keep your eyes on the Lord and stay focused on the goal.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that does happen, then, you know, getting new friends, of course, is a good idea. But at the same time, you can try to, you know, get your friends closer to Jesus too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, then, and if you see yourself like getting easily influenced
Yeah.
by them, or if they just make fun of you at all, like they won't even hear you out, then you know
Mhm.
You gotta
you
go.
might need to go, because
Yeah.
like we talked about before, it might not be it might not be their time to know God. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can always show them through your actions. If they're making fun of, you might be reading your Bible or something, and they make fun of you, but the only thing we can do during that, if they don't want to hear the gospel, we can show it to them through our actions.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most efficient way of spreading the gospel is through our actions. But so, what can you do if your friend's getting peer pressured?
Like Brock said, like stick up for them.
Yeah.
Stick up
Yeah.
for them, pray for them, and also, if one of my friends were getting peer pressured to do something and they were doing it, over and over again, I would sit down with them and have a conversation with them, and just like face to face, like nobody else, just you and them, and just talk to them.
Yeah. You could just give like even a personal story or something.
Yeah,
Or just
exactly.
like talk.
And you got to relate to them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, this is wrong, you're doing wrong, and just be
Yeah.
like, come down on like their level and relate to them, and
Yeah. Try to understand them.
yeah,
Mhm.
Try
exactly,
to, and like encourage them to do the right thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Because like let's say someone close to them does it, or does something bad or whatever, like it's harder for them to like run away from that temptation than it is for you. So you gotta like understand where they're coming at, and not be like, don't be stupid, don't make that decision, because that decision for them, it could be like 100 times harder.
What would you say if someone asked you to do something God doesn't like, or God wouldn't like?
Tell them that you don't want to do it first. Set boundaries. That way, like, let's say they ask you again, like if you tell them that you're not comfortable with that thing, whatever they're trying to peer
Yeah.
pressure you in, then they're most likely not gonna ask you again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you gotta like set a boundary.
yeah, like gotta set a boundary, and if they don't, like, what's the word for it? Like they just don't care about your
Yeah.
boundaries, then you just gotta like,
Yeah, like step over them.
yeah.
What would you say if someone asked you to do something that God wouldn't like? And you said that you wouldn't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just set those boundaries
Yeah.
to those people.
And I would also like explain to them why you're not
Mhm.
comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think that's also an opportunity to like share the gospel.
Yeah.
Just
True,
share,
true.
you know,
it can make them think about
Yeah,
their own
exactly.
decisions too.
And honestly, it probably make them feel guilty if they're also a Christian.
Yeah.
But yeah. What would you say if someone asked you to do something? Oh, that's the same one. Do you think God cares about the choices we make with our friends?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's like a big one.
Yeah.
You know, even if nobody sees it, He still does, and we're all gonna have to answer for it on Judgment Day. So,
Yeah.
absolutely, it does
Yeah.
matter. Because here's the thing: if you get peer pressure in doing something that that Jesus wouldn't do, that kind of builds your reputation to be someone that does that stuff. And if they know you're a big Christian and they see you fall, that can make their like standpoint on Christianity.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I think I've said this before, um, and like Cliff and Stewart and Bryce Crawford, um, when they debate people or whatever, they always bring up that one Christian who slipped and was a hypocrite or wasn't even really a hypocrite, just slipped and fell and did the wrong thing and like fell in their flesh,
Yeah.
and that can just be their standpoint from seeing you do something wrong.
Yeah.
You want to add on that or?
No.
All right.
Everything.
All right. What's one time you stood up for what's right? I remember this one time. it was like, now looking back at it, it's kind of cringe. It was like second grade. And anyways, this boy, he bro, it's like I like barely remember this. But anyways, this girl had a Chromebook, like a school Chromebook, and she was like doing her stuff on it.
In second grade.
Yeah.
What the?
And anyways, this kid just like walks up to her, takes her Chromebook away from her, and just takes it away from her.
Yeah.
And I went up there to him and I was like, "Hey, you better give it back." Like that was her Chromebook. Like, you don't want to mess with me. Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Tough Guy.
See my pinky, see my fist. But yeah, I guess that's one time I've stood up for what's right.
What happened?
What?
Did he give it back?
No, like.
Did he break
Okay,
it over your
okay.
head?
So what happened was I was like, you better give this back.
Yeah.
And anyways, he was like, I bet if I pinched you, it would hurt you. And I was like, it ain't gonna hurt me. So he gets his fingers and like gets my skin right here and just twists like with two fingers like that. And anyways, I start bawling my eyes out. I go to the bathroom. The teacher sees me. She's like, Brett, what's wrong, honey? I was like, so-and-so just pinched the crap out of me. And I'm like, I don't know.
Did she ever get
It was
her Chromebook
embarrassing. What?
Did she ever get her Chromebook back?
Yeah, she did. So it was worth it. But bro, it was embarrassing. Like I remember, I was bawling my eyes out in front of the whole class, and it was a big scene.
Oh god.
It's not even the story about sticking up for someone. That's just you getting bullied.
Yeah.
Bro said he barely remembers it. It's like a dramatic experience.
I think about it every night.
And this is him right here.
He's the one.
That's why we invited him.
Confronted him about it. Has there ever been a time where y'all stood up for somebody?
I feel like I have, but I can't remember. Like,
Yeah.
I can't really remember a story that I have.
I mean, I had like a similar experience to that. One of my friends was like trying to he had a water bottle in the car. He's like threw it out the window. I was like, hey, don't do that. He was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He was like, no.
Yeah.
Not much I can do, but
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really you can do. Is like somebody tells you no. You're not just gonna like make them.
It was like,
force them,
oh, okay. It was like,
Yeah. But it's intentions, I guess. Good
Yeah.
intentions.
It's good. Like,
Even
I
though
guess,
you
like,
get you purple nurple or whatever.
yeah.
Bro, the worst thing is like somebody tells you no in front of like, let's say like somebody's been being mean to Pablo. I'm like, hey, stop that, bro. And they're like, who are you? Like, shut up. Like, no. And then you can't really like argue with them without making like a big scene. You know,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
I would want you to make a big scene over me.
So can you be a good example for others? Or how can you be a good example for others? And how can you do it?
Kind of like how we said, like the friend groups you're around and like how you react to certain situations and how your actions are when you are tempted by like peer pressure and how you like respond to it.
Yeah. I think how you respond to peer pressure is like how others can, you know, it might help them how to react to peer pressure, you know, when they see you react to it, or how you handle it.
I mean, just try not to like be kind of like loud about what you're doing right. You know what I mean? Because like then you have the self-righteous look to you, and I think that's a big thing. I mean, I've struggled with it too. I think a lot of people do struggle with it. So kind of sticking out is just doing the right thing and not being loud about it.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, the thing is, if you're gonna do good stuff in a bad world, you're gonna stick out.
yeah.
That's just part of it.
Mm.
I mean, I saw one thing where it's like, don't seek validation from a world who killed a perfect man.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So, why is it important to listen to God more than people?
he's God.
Yeah. He created us.
Yeah.
He knows everything,
Yeah.
and you know, even when something doesn't go your way, it happened for a reason, better than your, you know, understanding.
Yeah.
And you know, every time we like lose a game in football, basketball, whatever, I always think, you know, there was a purpose why we didn't win, and whatever that purpose was, it was better than what I would have done. And yeah, what does the Bible say about following a crowd? I guess if it's the right crowd, follow it. If it's not, then don't.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Be a leader.
Yeah. Be the leader of that crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. Be a leader of the crowd.
Yeah.
Be the alpha.
That's how bro felt when he sticked up the girl.
Oh gosh.
Doesn't say Jesus is the Alpha and Omega, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Alpha. So, have you ever felt bad after falling into peer pressure?
Yeah. It kind of is like, I feel like it just like replays and replays and replays over in your head.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what you could have done right and what you could have said or done.
You know, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, the first step of being forgiven is first forgiving yourself.
Mhm.
And that comes with understanding that we have flesh in us and we're going to mess up eventually.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's something wrong. You gotta check yourself.
Yeah.
The big thing that like I struggled with was I let the times I mess up kind of like define my like the image of what I thought of myself.
Yeah.
And I know that like the mental part of that was
Mhm.
pretty difficult with dealing with and just finding my identity with Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for real, bro, like, sometimes when you do something wrong, it's, like, hard to just get away from it, really.
Yeah.
You know, just, like, leave it behind because it still, like, stays in your conscience, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially with like everything being recorded now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it sucks when you do something and there's video of it. And you're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah, that's true.
You got something to say?
You can like replay it
on
and stuff
YouTube.
like that.
yeah, I know. Like a big part of that with me was just like that could be somebody's first impression.
Exactly.
That
That's so
video,
true, bro.
And they don't like. It's so easy to just see something of someone and be like, automatically like, oh, they're not a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when you see it, you just like cringe. Like you want it gone. Like you don't want anybody
yeah.
to see
Yeah.
that. That's the worst feeling, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
that's how I get like mentally like just like messed up.
Exactly. And like a big root of like getting peer pressured is literally just temptation. I feel like it's the same thing, temptation and peer
Yeah.
pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, like
temptation,
2 and 2. Yeah.
yeah, because like being tempted is like it's like an everyday struggle.
Yeah.
You know, you could be literally tempted to do anything,
Yeah.
but it's your decision to be like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The good thing is like we have free will. Like you get to make your decision how, like, I guess like you react, but we're supposed to react how Jesus would and how he would want us to react to certain stuff. But the thing is, people Satan made me do that or something like that. But I mean, you have like free will.
Exactly. Satan will try to make you do stuff, but
Yeah.
it's your final say.
Yeah.
If you were gonna do that or not.
Yeah. I think like you can avoid peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You can avoid and avoiding peer pressure starts out with choosing who you hang around and choosing like before even peer pressure becomes a thing and something you deal with. If you pick those friends before that you struggle with that and that starts happening to you, the peer pressure, you can avoid those battles.
Yeah. Like I'm a really big overthinker, so like every like decision isn't just like I'm not gonna do it or I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like kind of just I don't know.
Yeah.
Just it's harder to make decisions. Like I know what's right and wrong,
Yeah.
but like sometimes you're like, should I do this? Should I not? And then when like maybe the time passes, you're like, it could be like I could have done it or I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of that, just really just replaying in your head. But
Yeah. I had that kind of like same struggle too. Like when you like do something and you think it's like, I guess, right in the moment, and then it like, you kind of like comes back
Backfires.
to you. Yeah, it comes back to you and you're like, just think about like, I guess what you could have done differently in like in that situation.
Yeah, because low key sometimes for me, like man, I've just dealt with like really bad anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it feels like sometimes like a million different voices
Yeah.
just like talking to you, telling you to do the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the right, like I don't know, it just kind of just it's harder to run away from that
Yeah.
because it's literally in your head. It's not like
Yeah.
something physical.
Even when like you do the right thing, there's still those like thoughts of like, you didn't do the right thing.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
too.
I mean, especially when you're in those situations where like there's gonna be a bad outcome no matter what you do.
Yeah.
That's always difficult.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like how should I approach it?
Yeah.
I know for me when it comes to like struggling with stuff, I try to at least think like in a week, am I gonna look back at this and be proud that I did it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, sometimes it's easy. I'm not perfect, but
Yeah.
I've noticed that when I have that approach, I mean, even like with Jesus, be proud if I were to do this. Would I do this with him beside me? Because that's always been pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think's the best Forrest Frank song?
Where did that come from?
No. Hear me out. What's the best Forrest Frank song if you're dealing with peer pressure? Because honestly, I think another thing that helps me with peer pressure is music.
Yeah.
Low key, if I had to say peer pressure, it'd probably be like his interludes, like
Yeah, that counts
his
like-
testimony.
Yeah.
The last track I think it's called "Child of God."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think isn't that like the last track of his
Mhm.
first album, where it's like preaching,
Yeah.
Because when like his songs are usually like happy, so you're not like gonna play "Good Day" after you've
Yeah.
been peer pressured.
Yeah.
I feel like the song Testimony, it's like it kind of like, you can relate to it. Because
Yeah.
he had those moments where he was in like a dark place and
Yeah.
he was tempted by stuff and peer pressured into things that he didn't want to be a part of. Oh gosh.
Brand just left the podcast.
Yeah. But he didn't want to be like tempted by and stuff like that. But you can like he overcame those temptations and peer pressures, and did it or I guess I don't know how to say it. He just overcame them and glorified God.
Do you listen to Force?
No, I don't. Not really. Like I've even like been to a Forrest Frank concert. I just don't.
Me neither.
It just don't stick with you.
I'm a big country music guy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I think the best, like,
Yeah, man, I love Shabuzi too, man.
no, I think Cody Johnson,
Oh, yeah.
he's got some good gospel music songs.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one of Cody Johnson is, I think it's By Your Grace.
Oh yeah.
That one's really good.
Hear me out, the Kanye Christian music.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about that before.
He's
Yeah.
got, honestly, I think he's got one good Christian song.
Which one is it? On God or God is?
Yeah.
Closed on Sunday.
Oh,
You
wait,
my Chick-fil-A.
Actually, two.
He has
I remember when that
multiple. He
song
has
came
multiple. Actually, I really like him.
I remember when that song came out. I've heard that Kanye's like back with he's a Christian again.
I don't know, bro. That
You
is
can't
the most
believe
bipolar dude I've ever seen,
One
bro.
day he is, one day he is.
He's an atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
One
I
day
hope
he's
he gets-
Buddhist. The next he's gonna become a
I hope he gets
Satanist, bro.
I hope he gets his mind right, but
For real,
like-
playing
bro.
like a Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving,
mean-
he don't know what he believes
For a
in.
little bit, he was like, "I am God."
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Took a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Jesus walks, and then it's like I'm God.
Yeah.
I love God. I hate God. You know, just like
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's next, man.
I guess like that, just like the influence around him, like especially like the music industry. If you're like doing something that nobody else is doing, you're not probably gonna be really popular.
I know the reason why he said like he is God is because something to do with like his religion growing up, where he wasn't like Baptist or nothing. He was like, I forgot the name, but it's I'm not sure. It's just something where you believe that you're kind of like same with God.
Jehovah's Witness.
I might have been that.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why he was like saying that. But I think.
Yeah, I
later-
think it is. I think I get this confused. I think it is Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, but I mean, even when he made like, not when it came up to his Christian album, but like even before that,
Mhm.
like he talked about God, but he would also like cuss and stuff in his songs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Jesus walks and like literally cusses all the time. So
Yeah.
you know, just because someone talks about God isn't like.
Yeah.
I
But
would
honestly,
say
I think
Christian music.
Satan definitely attacks like the big influencers like Kanye West
Mhm.
because he knows like the impact.
He has such big
influence.
influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have had such a big influence, you know.
Well, I know. I'm pretty sure it's the Catholics believe that Satan was heavily influential with the music in heaven.
Oh yeah.
So that's why, like, they say
Yeah.
that he is such
Like,
a big
yeah,
role
sure.
in the music industry right now. It's just, I mean, that's like, it's really easy to listen to a song and not know what to talk about. But like,
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
subconscious
Yeah.
is like picking up on everything.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Honestly, I think Jesus would like go up to every single one of them, one by one, in private, and have like a conversation with them.
Yeah.
They already said that.
Yeah. School lunch would taste better.
Yeah.
How about this one? Imagine you're talking to your younger self. What advice would you give about peer pressure?
It's like a simple answer. Don't give into it.
Yeah.
Like that's like the best.
Honestly, I would say it's gonna feel cool in the moment and it's gonna feel good in the moment, but you know, when you lay your head down at night, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
Short-term joys or short-term happiness is comparable to everlasting joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. You see anything?
No.
All right. What is a good prayer to say when you're feeling tempted?
like ask God to kind of give you clarity for the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, that's good.
Like strength to not
Yeah.
like be easily overcome by like the temptations that are being thrown at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think about the Lord's Prayer?
Pretty good prayer.
Yeah.
It's OG, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you have it memorized?
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, somewhat.
I haven't memorized it. I think it's
Our Father who
Father art in heaven,
hallowed
hallowed be
be
thy
thy
name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done,
that
that
it
is
is as it is in heaven.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought,
Then it's like, give us our daily bread.
yeah, forgive us
like,
of our
trespasses as we forgive
Forgive
those
our
who trespass us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really. I know like half of it, and then
Yeah. Then the next is like, I'm improvising.
yeah.
Yeah. You're just going off script.
Yeah.